What's going on, guys? Badges in Blue here. Guess I'm gonna have to maybe come up with a new name or something now that it's mostly more about military. Um, for those of you that are new, I used to be a police officer. Now I'm in the Navy. Actually in A school right now. This is my room that I'm sitting in here. I'd tell you where I am, but I don't want to do that yet since I'm still here. Later I'll fill you in on locations, just in case you know how all that goes. So yeah, I was in boot camp back from February to beginning of April is when I graduated at RTC in Great Lakes, the only place that boot camp is at. Um, it was a pretty good time there, I guess. You know, it's tough. You get off the bus, they start yelling at you. You're like, you know, what did I get into? Um, you stay awake the entire time. You do not go to bed the night that you get there. I got there, I think, around 10 o'clock at night, Central Time, coming from the East Coast, so I already lost, or I guess redid an hour there. Um, we stayed up pretty much from the time I woke up at the hotel before you go to MEPS. From then until they let us go to sleep, I believe I was at 40 hours or close to 40 hours of being awake. So take advantage of taking naps and things like that. If they let you take a nap on the bus to the airport, take a nap. If you fall asleep on a plane, fall asleep on a plane. Take as many naps as you can, because when you get off that plane at the airport, you're awake that whole time. They will not let you nap on the bus. You have to watch a video on your way to RTC. You'll get there, they'll be screaming and yelling at you, then all you want to do is fall asleep and you're standing up. You know, they'll give you something stupid to do that whole time. So, like I said, just take advantage of being able to sleep, because you're going to be up for almost 2 days straight if you don't do that. So for me, the division that I got to, we already had about 44 people in there. So they gave us another 40 guys. I was the second group that came in. So those guys were there. They finally got their first night of sleep, and then we all arrived. That's when we got our actual RDCs, but there were some that came in, excuse me, that night before. And they kind of already assigned jobs, so we already had an RPOC and a couple of the other jobs. I guess head PO, which means you're in charge of keeping the bathroom clean and things like that. I don't know what else was already taken, but quite a few jobs were already done. So I came in, I figured I'm going to lay kind of low. That's what most people want to do. And it wasn't bad. I was kind of able to do it. You know, I've heard people say they tried it and it didn't work. You know, if you're really tall, you're going to get used. You'll be a road guard or something like that, or you just stand out in the crowd because you're so big. And then there's the short people that usually end up carrying the flags and things like that when you're marching. So it'll be PFC or guide on. Yeah, I thought about being an A-Rock, which is the person that calls out cadence and things like that, but there's a lot more to it than just doing that. A lot of responsibility, and I was like, nah, I just kind of want to lay low. You know, towards the end, it was like, maybe I could have done that job. I'm also already in E3 going into boot camp, so I wasn't really worried about it. But for anyone that's going in as an E1 or E2, if you take some of those jobs, I think they get up to like 6 people that the RDCs can actually promote you at the end of boot camp. So our RPOC was in E2, he went to E3. Our A-Rock, I think, went from E1 to E2. Our laundry PO got promoted just for different things that he did. So they will promote, and like I said, I think it's like 6 people. We had a guy that actually went from an E1 to an E3 in boot camp, and that was for basically being outstanding. He was really good at the PFA. He did the first PFA, and the first test he got like over a 4.0 on, and the best you can get is a 5.0. And then he did it again for the final PFA and the second big test, and then he got honor grad. So between those tests, the PT test and the written test, and then being made as an honor grad, he went from E1 to E2 and then E2 to E3. So good for him. And when you get here to A school, depending on what A school you go to, mine at least, you can get ranked up to an E4. So basically you can be done all your schooling, and when you get out to the fleet, you're already a petty officer. That is basically the same thing. Work really hard, so your grades are good. I haven't classed up yet. I actually start tomorrow with my first class. I've been here 3 weeks. Your first week, you're in doc, and then my last 2 weeks, I was in THU. But sometimes you go right into classes. And THU is the temporary holding unit. So basically, they just have you sweeping floors or doing whatever. I've been a duty driver, so I get to take people to the airport and go off base, which has been pretty nice. And they actually offer like a mini class here on like how to rank up and different things you can do to kind of help yourself out once you get out to the fleet. So I did that for about a day and a half, which was also a lot of fun. But yeah, back to boot camp. If anyone has questions, go ahead and ask me the questions. I've seen some out there, people asking about the blueberries, the old uniform. They do not give you the blueberries anymore. I think that stopped in like November last year. So now you get the green ones. For those of you that love the blue, I heard it's coming back in like 2 years. So you'll get the green uniform, and in 2 years you can go buy your new blue uniforms. I think like this October, they're getting rid of blue completely, so anyone that has blue has to buy the greens. So just deal with the greens and wait for the blues. You'll get it for your last couple of years before you leave, if you're done in 4 years. What else about boot camp? If you can stay quiet and, you know, kind of mind your own business, do whatever it is petty officers are telling you, it's not really difficult. It wasn't for me. Like I said, I used to be a police officer, so I get the whole, you know, people above me telling me what I need to do, things like that. I've kind of always been prepared for things like that, so for me it wasn't a big lifestyle change to go to boot camp, except for leaving my wife and my kid behind, you know. Not being able to communicate for a while. When you first get there, you're in your P days, what they call it. It's supposed to be a week. Mine was about a week and a half due to some snowstorms and stuff that came in. So you can write right away. They'll give you paper and stuff like that right off the bat. So you can start writing letters, but I didn't get to send it for, I think, almost 2 weeks before I could send it. Because they only let you bail out on Sundays when you first get there. And then you get to a point, you can start to receive letters Monday through Friday, but you can still only send on Sunday. We got told later, and it ended up happening, that we could send out every single day, Sunday to Friday. They started taking them on Saturdays, but no one actually collects mail, so it's not leaving until Monday anyway. But you could send mail and receive mail pretty much every day, Monday through Friday. We would receive Sunday to Friday. So it was pretty good. As far as getting news and things like that, obviously you can't have nude stuff being sent to you. You can't get photos, things like that, and they'll explain that to you. But I had news articles sent to me, football updates and things like that, because that's what I really wanted. My RPOC got the same thing. His brother was sending him things for the Yankees and stuff like that. You know, that was no big deal, at least for our RDCs. They didn't care if you got news articles to read, as long as it wasn't anything inappropriate. You know, you could pretty much have it. So yeah, it got to a point, I was writing a letter almost every night when I first got there. It felt like I had been there a month and I was there for a week, but then later as RDC goes on, it kind of starts to speed up, and it's not as bad. So sorry, my phone's going off. I sent out 11 letters that first day I could send. Well, 11 just to my wife, I think, and I had another 1 or 2 that I sent out to other people. But then after that, you know, it's pretty consistent. I usually stayed up and wrote a letter almost every single night, usually just to kind of stay awake, wait till everyone else is going to sleep, because people are loud anyway. You're not going to go to sleep unless you have a good division and people are quiet, but our guys like to talk all the time. The RPOC, a lot of times they'll try to get their speeches and stuff at night, because that's the only chance they get to really sit there and talk and not get interrupted, or we have to run and go do something else. If you're tall, learn to eat your food pretty quickly, because when you usually get into a height line, you're the last person to go through the line, and then once that last person sits down, I think they give you like 12 minutes to eat from that moment. So everyone else had more time. You got like 12 minutes to get your food in your mouth, and then that's when they start standing everyone up. But it doesn't take that long to get through like maybe 2 tables worth of people to have you stand up and leave. Towards the, I guess, kind of the end of boot camp, we started switching around. So then tall people went first, and I was a little closer to the short end. So I started getting less and less time, and I was like, wait, I used to be able to eat all this. So you don't really notice how much faster it is until it happens to you. So if you're short, be prepared for that too. They could switch it around on you. What else happened around there without having phone calls? So you get like a 30-second phone call when you first get off the bus. They're yelling at you, doing all that. If you have your cell phone, you just make a quick call and you basically say, hey, I'm here, I'm alive, I'll talk to you in 3 weeks. And then that's it. And 3 weeks go by, you make your phone call, and it's pretty consistent, I guess, after that. I think I made, not counting that first call, I think I made 3 total calls. The first one I was on watch, so I only got to talk for like 15 minutes the following day. The next one was, I think, about 2 weeks later. I got a decently long phone call, might have been 30-40 minutes that time. And then you get one more pretty much right before graduation to kind of say, hey, I am still good, I didn't get asthma or anything, so it's okay that you guys already got a hotel and different things like that. Sorry for that smoke, it's an air freshener behind me. So yeah, basically you tell them you still graduated, you'll see them soon, you know, you're officially a sailor, that kind of stuff. Obviously, I guess you're not totally officially a sailor until graduation, but they'll start to, you'll see a difference. You know, it was like the last couple days, and you know, the RDCs are just sitting around talking to you and things like that. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm older. Even during P days, I could tell that my RDCs cared. Like, they were yelling at you, but it was like, hey, they care about us. They care about what they're doing. They don't want to bring in, you know, Joe Schmoes that don't know what they're doing. So they're treating you a certain way, but they're doing it because they care, because they want you to be better, be a better person, and do whatever it is you're doing. We got all of the injections and things like that within the first couple days, I guess. And then we had to go do a PFA, basically your first PFA. I had the run, no problem. I had the sit-ups, no problem. Push-ups, it was hurting too much with the injections and stuff in my arm. I only got like 23, and I was only in depth for 2 weeks, so it wasn't like I prepared myself for all of the PFA type stuff. I've always been kind of fit, you know, especially with doing the police work and things like that. But I used to do like, you know, maybe 30 push-ups on my own, just bang them out real fast. But here they give you 2 minutes. If you're young, which most of you are, I think you have to do like 60 of them or something like that. Your recruiter should let you know what your numbers are as far as your mile-and-a-half run time, your sit-ups, and your push-ups, how many you gotta do. But you get 2 minutes to reach that number. So yeah, I only got 23 the first time. Then they did, about 2 weeks before the final PFA, they did basically a mock PFA to kind of see where you're at. I had 40 more push-ups, so I did 63 of them in that 2 minute time. And like, I didn't give up. Like, the first time I did 23, got to a point where I was feeling too weak, and once your knee touches or you fall to the floor or whatever, they just tell you to stop. So I only got to that 23. You kind of learn like how to fight through things more and things like that. So I stayed up for the full 2 minutes and got my 63 push-ups. I think I did like 90 some sit-ups, and the mile-and-a-half I ran a 10:23. So it showed you a lot, but I could see that I was getting stronger as well. We had a lot of people that, like I said, like to talk. That kind of puts you into getting in trouble all the time, getting beat, as they like to call it. So you start doing 10 counts, you'll do push-ups, you'll do 6 inches, and, you know, air chairs. They'll put you through all kinds of crazy stuff. They kind of have like a little card that they follow. They can only do so much to you at this point. You know, I guess the world itself is getting weaker, so they had too many people dropping out, so now they gotta ease back a little, which I guess I'm okay with. At the same time, it was like, hey, I'll take the punishment, you know. It's something you really gotta learn. At least I really had to learn. You know, it's like this guy's doing something wrong, or this little group over here is doing something wrong. Sometimes it's just them that gets beat, but usually you're a team, you're a division, so everybody has to go down and do it. One time they made the two guys that would they were arguing back and forth. They made them stand there and watch the rest of us get beat for them, you know, being the ones that messed up. So, you know, it's, you know, for me it was like, okay, I was a police officer. Usually I would tell you like, hey, you're doing something wrong, don't let me catch you doing that kind of stuff again. You catch the same person, or you catch someone else doing it, and eventually, you know, people are getting banged up for it. So then I come here, and you know, you may tell somebody, hey, don't, you know, don't keep talking, like, we gotta be quiet right now. But they don't listen to you. Now, I wasn't in a leadership role either, but they're not listening to Arpag when he's saying it, then eventually, okay, well, everyone's getting dropped. You know, you guys are gonna start doing push-ups or whatever it is they ask you to do. So I think that was a little tough on me. I understood it. I knew it was gonna happen. It was just really annoying to have to keep doing stuff because people just do whatever it is they want to do. You know, you'll learn in the Navy that it's you're at the bottom of the room when it comes to things that are important. You know, it's the Navy in general, then the fleet, your shipmates, and then yourself. So you're at the bottom of the pyramid. But slowly, I think some people started to figure it out. But pretty much all the way up until graduation, we were getting beat because people just, you know, I think they started getting lackadaisical at that point. It was like it was getting better, and then you're a couple days out, and it's like, oh well, you know, now I kind of relax and do my thing, get complacent, and you know, obviously you shouldn't be doing that because then you just hurt the whole division, and we all got to do stuff over again. But yeah, it was, you know, it's 8 weeks of being away from family, being quiet, and following somebody's rules. That's really all there is to boot camp. If you can follow rules, stay quiet, eat your food without talking to everybody, you'll get through it, no problem. If you want to take some of the other jobs, you got the EPO, which is your Education Petty Officer. There's an APO, which is Athletic Petty Officer. They'll kind of run some of the in-house PT type stuff. The Education Petty Officer just helps with giving studying techniques. Ours would walk around and ask questions, like if there was, I guess you could call it downtime, or if we're waiting in line for chow, or we had a senior chief that was like our main RDC. He would tell the EPOs to, you know, fall out and ask people questions while we were waiting to get into chow, or wherever it is we might have been going. What else we had? There's all kinds of small jobs. You know, it was like a table PO and a window PO. You were just in charge of making sure they were clean all the time, making sure the tables were put into the right spot. We had like a rack alignment PO to make sure the beds are all where they're supposed to be. All things that can get you hits, and obviously you want to earn flags and things like that. So there's a star flag. We had the star flag early on and kept it the whole way through. You just have to maintain a 4.0 average on your entire compartment. And then we got the drill flag, which is for your marching and things like that. In the beginning, I don't think we were very good. Everybody stepping on each other's feet. We had guys that weren't in step, guys that didn't understand what being in step meant. Like the one guy that even explained it, like right near the end when we were graduating. He was originally one of the flags. I think it was PFC, and he thought when they said left that his left foot was supposed to be in the air instead of being down, so he was always on the wrong foot, which messed everyone up. So we had quite a few flags that, you know, got fired. At least one ended up coming back because we started running out of short people to do it. So he came back as an extra flag because obviously you're earning more flags as you go. We didn't get the scholarship flag, although I told you about the one guy that got the honor grad. We actually had 2 honor grads in our division. but enough people didn't pass the tests or didn't pass well enough for us to get the scholarship flag. But we did get the athletic flag, which is just a big giant A on a flag. We earned that after the second PFA, so it took us a bit to actually get that flag, but we ended up with 3 extra flags. The other ones you can get is the Captain's Cup if you win. We went up against 800 divisions, which is your special ops guys, so your Navy SEALs, EOD, things like that. Anyone that has to go up against 800s is pretty much going to lose. They have to spend a year of like crazy PT before they even get into boot camp, and they already have to meet certain standards right off the bat when they get there. So they're crazy, fit, athletic people. You're just not going to win. Then there's 900 units, which do, they're basically like the band, things like that. And then there's some integrated divisions, which is males and females in the same division. Usually you're like right across the hall from each other, and they'll just filter through. So like half of one compartment is all males, well, the whole compartment is males, but one whole half is with one division of females, which is on the other side. And then that compartment on the other side is 2 groups of females, but half are in one division, half are in the other. So when they did like special meetings and stuff, like whatever, you know, you'd sleep in your separate compartments, and then they would walk across the hallway. We'd see them all the time, going across the hallways from each other, and just kind of, you know, doing whatever meeting, drill, going somewhere together. That's when they'd split. So I feel like that could have been difficult too, like as loud as our place could get at nighttime when it's supposed to be quiet. You know, I could see divisions basically, you know, razzing each other back and forth, or just talking or getting on each other. Don't bring a lot of stuff to boot camp when you're coming. We had guys that brought wallets and stuff, and they let you keep it. I wasn't sure. I literally came with my driver's license and my social security card, because you need those. And then I ended up having to make everybody put that kind of stuff like in an extra sock, and you'll carry that around for a little bit. It's like the P-Day sock, as we call it. You'll get to a certain point to let you have your wallet and everything, but you just have like a drawer that you keep everything in. You can fit a decent amount in there, but don't carry tons of stuff. When they let you go to the next and buy like soaps and things like that, guys didn't like the soap that they kind of give you, and that can stay in a locker, but people start buying, you know, big soaps and big shampoos and stuff. That stuff can't stay in the locker in the head there. So now you gotta try and keep that in your drawer along with your, you know, whatever mail stuff you have. You know, you got pens in there, paper in there, envelopes in there, stamps in there, any of your important papers. You know, I had more documents because I had to have my wife and things like that, going through the health insurance, that kind of stuff. So a much bigger packet of paper. I'm trying to think of what else I had in it, like lint rollers and your shoe shining kit, anything that basically can't go in the flat part of the rack with your clothes, and they'll tell you what goes where. All that has to be in your A and B drawer. So just don't go crazy and bring everything into boot camp. Basically, if you bring your cell phone, like I said, they'll have you make that phone call in the beginning. If there's someone that doesn't have a cell phone, you're gonna hand them your cell phone so they can make the phone call real fast. And then they're gonna make you ship it with your personal clothes and all that good stuff. So I already knew that they were gonna make me ship my phone, you know, back home. So I literally got on a plane with my orders and my identification. So I packed nothing with me. I was with another guy. He had like a small bag with some stuff in it. So I knew he had his cell phone and things like that. But just be smart about it. But had I known I could bring my wallet, I would have brought my wallet, so I didn't have to buy a new one when I got to A school. I'm trying to think of what else. I guess after you graduate, you'll meet your family, obviously. You can have them give you clothes and your cell phone and things like that. But that first night after you graduate, you go back to RDC and you stay in the compartment, and then you leave for the airport from there. At RDC, you cannot have a cell phone, and basically from what they told us, you can't bring anything that you left. You cannot bring anything new in. So you basically leave wearing your dress blues or dress whites, whatever it is, and then that's it. So you can't come in with your cell phone. If your parents gave you civilian clothes, you can't bring those in. If you chose to get changed and walk around in civilian clothes, you'd have to change back into your dress uniform and then come back on RDC property. So pretty much I just stayed in my blues. That's what we graduated in. I stayed in my blues. I had my phone, while we were out. Talked to my family, different things like that, and then gave them back my phone, and they met me at the airport the next morning. So that's really your best bet. And like I said, if you're gonna have clothes or whatever, I went out and bought some things while they were there because I forgot to have them pack stuff for me. But yeah, if you did that, they can give you some clothes and things like that you could take with you, and just try to sneak it, or not sneak it, but get it into your carry-on bag. Trying to think of what else we really did at boot camp that I can tell you about. Obviously, you'll learn all kinds of fun cadences and things like that, especially once your group really gets marching down. If your group gets marching down, I'm at A school now, and you have to do some marching, and we still get inspections and things like that. But there are still people here that can't march, and some of them just came out of boot camp, and you're like, you've been marching for at least 6 weeks of the 8. How do you not know how to march? But some people just can't figure it out. I don't know, they get claustrophobic and think they're going to step on someone's feet, so then they get out of step. I'm not sure how to explain it. I've marched before, so I don't really have an issue. I've had my feet stepped on, and I have hit other people's feet. And sometimes it could be your fault. You get like slightly out of step if you kind of zone out a second. But there's a quick way to fix that. And if your RDCs are good, they'll teach you. But basically, you kind of do like a little hop step. I usually kind of either speed up or slow down, like real fast, and just kind of match where the other person's foot is. But there's stuff you can look for. Obviously, you just continue looking straight the whole time. If you're looking at the back of that person's head, in your peripherals you can see past their head, especially because it's a height line, so the person in front of you should be shorter. And you can kind of see up towards the front, and you just see where everyone is pivoting. So say, you take a turn, you see where that pivot point is. If you're staring slightly down, maybe looking at like the shoulder blades or something of the person in front of you, or looking down at their feet, because a lot of people do that. If they mess up the pivot point, you're going to mess it up because you're turning where they just turned, and that could start messing that whole rank up. So I usually kept looking straight. If the person in front of me missed it, I would step it out a little bit further and then pivot to where the original pivot point was to kind of fix that up. But all that marching stuff, they'll teach you all that. You guys will learn it. As long as you got good RDCs, like I said. I had a senior chief, like I said, he was our first RDC. We were actually his first division. I was surprised to find that out when he told us. He was really good. He's been in the Navy, I think, like 15 years. He was a senior chief for, I think he said, a year right before he came to RDC. We had a female petty officer. She, first class petty officer. She left for a family thing, and they replaced her with another female petty officer, who was a fire controlman, I believe. So she's a FC1. She was pretty good. When she first got there, it was like, whoa, calm down, lady. I think she just felt like maybe we were further in our training than we were. But she got a lot better, and then actually became, it was pretty cool. You could see like she was actually kind of nerdy and stuff like that. She'd play World of Warcraft and different games, so she'd be talking about them with different people. I never played World of Warcraft, but I did like playing video games. But you kind of see like, oh, okay, she's a little more normal. She's kind of cool. And then our third RDC was a AT1, I believe. He was really cool. We were his first non-800 division, so he had pushed, I think, 3 800 divisions. Um, so I'm sure it was an adjustment for him, to have guys that struggle doing PT, especially when it was, for ITE when we're getting beat and all that. But then he was telling us later, like, it was difficult to train the 800 units because they do something wrong and you're like, all right, get on your face and have them start doing push-ups. He's like, they get up and start high-fiving the guys when they're done because they didn't struggle at all. It's not difficult for them. So, you got to find other ways to beat them, which, from what I heard, is make them stand at attention on the toe line and then randomly tell them to, go at ease or left face, right face. Somewhere they're just standing there doing some kind of marching and they don't like that. Nobody likes that. We've had to do that a few times too. And that punishment sucks almost as much as anything else when they're beating you. But if you're really sore, you kind of appreciate it because you're like, I'm glad I'm not pushing right now. But standing at attention for hours is not fun either. Make sure you don't lock your knees. People pass out doing that. Even when you're at ease, just leave a little bit of bend in your knee so that you don't pass out. You don't want to pass out, especially at graduation. I think everyone in my graduating group made it through without passing out. They told us usually at least one person passes out, but to my knowledge, no one did. Not that I saw or heard of. Excuse me. So I guess that's good. Since I just coughed, it reminded me you will get sick at boot camp. There's pretty much no way around it. Once they stab you with those needles, it's pretty much game over. Because one of them's going to be a flu shot, so you're going to get sick from that. We had something going on when we first got, like the very first day. The one kid said he was sick. I felt like he was faking, but he said he was sick. And then right as we were getting out of P days, they sent him off to get asthma, and I saw him later. We were having lunch one time, and he was with the separation group. So he didn't last too long. He was there for a while because they'll keep you there. So your fastest way out of boot camp is just getting through boot camp. Don't worry about trying to be sick or whatever excuse you want to come up with to get out of there. They'll leave you sitting in separation until your group graduates, and then you might leave a week or two behind them. So if your plan is to get out, just get through boot camp and you'll get yourself out. But yeah, make sure you're ready for people to yell at you. We had people the first couple of days, running off to the RDCs and asking to leave, telling them they needed to leave. They didn't realize they're going to get yelled at so much. I don't know what your recruiters are telling you, and everybody says recruiter lie. My recruiter was pretty good, and I think the big thing is asking them questions. So for those of you that are maybe still just thinking about it, whatever, ask as many questions you can with the RDC. If you go take the ASVAB and you score really high, and they're like, hey man, you can be a nuke, right? Being a nuke's great. If you get out of the Navy, you can get paid like 6 figures coming out, some other job, working for a nuclear power plant or whatever. You'll also get really nice signing bonuses if you stay in the Navy. So you're not making as much money, and they understand that, but that's why you're going to get, say $75,000 to re-enlist. But at the same time, is that the job that you want? Because whatever you pick as your rate, that's it. You're pretty much stuck with it. You can cross-rate and things like that, but you have to be in for 2 years before they let you even start looking at that option. So for those of you who've been around, I originally wanted CTR, didn't get it, ended up taking this PS job, and I feel like it's something that will translate out, which is another thing I was looking at. No matter what branch you're looking at, try to find something that's going to translate out into the civilian world if your plan is to leave. And most of you, like I said, if you're in at 18, if you go 20 years, you're still, you're retiring in your 30s or whatever. So obviously you're probably going to be working somewhere else. So find something that's going to translate through for you. If you're doing it for the schooling, do it for the schooling, but still pick a job that's going to help you, because now you can get a degree and you can have experience in the field already. That's going to put you over the top. So just take full advantage of whatever it is you're trying to do when you're coming in. You know me, I'm a little bit older. My plan is to do the 20 years. If I do the 20 years, I'm getting out, you know, in my 50s. I could still go get a job somewhere, but I also need to pick something that people would be willing to hire me as an older person. So the PS rate is basically HR type stuff. You know, I'll be dealing with people's pay, but also doing paperwork and things like that. So that's something that, again, will translate out. Everybody needs an HR department for the most part. Um, so I can pretty much find a job anywhere depending on whatever state I'm living in at that time when I'm retiring, or wherever I decide, or my family decides where we want to go. You know, that's an option, but HR is pretty much everywhere. Um, I think that's all I got for this video that I can think about. Anyone has questions on boot camp, I'll answer them the best I can. Like I said, I guess real fast with the phone cards. I know I have a cousin who's also in the Navy. He had bought a phone card and then came to RDC, and the phone card was no good, so he had to go buy a phone card and then go make his phone call, so he didn't get to talk long. Just wait till they give you that first trip to the next. They'll usually ask you, but they're up at the counter when you're buying whatever stuff it is you're buying. They'll ask you if you want a phone card. Buy it there, because then you know it's going to work. But they're like special AT&T phone cards, I guess, but just use the ones they have there and buy them. They have a $10 one, a $20 one. I bought the $10 one, and I still have time left on it, so you don't need to go crazy with the number of minutes. They're not going to give you that much time to make phone calls. I guess going back, I'll give you a little more with the eating. My RDCs didn't go crazy on you, so if you wanted to eat cereal, which they started to lock those up later, you used to be able to eat them for all 3 meals, and then right towards like our last week or two, they secured them. You were only there for breakfast, and then that was it. But you can go pick up the dessert, the cookie, the brownie, whatever it might be. Obviously, you don't want to go crazy because you still got to pass PFA. You could pick whatever food they had, but the food is usually listed, so you know like what's the healthiest option. They call it, basically, it's like a traffic light: red, green, and yellow. So just pick whatever is the best food most of the time. But we had RDCs, you'd see walking around yelling at people for eating cereal, telling them that was a dessert. You know, we don't do desserts in our division, things like that. I said my RDCs didn't really, not that they didn't care, but they were like, you know, you're all grown adults, go ahead and figure out what it is you want to eat. But just be mindful if you're struggling, or you know you're kind of close on that run. Maybe don't get the dessert. Maybe pick a better food. You know, things like that. So I liked the way that they did it, as opposed to having someone tell me I can't eat something. You know, I'm there like I'm 30 years old. Just let me eat what I eat. I ate like crap as a civilian, and I could still come in here and pass your PFA. If you didn't stab me in the arm with needles, I could have passed your PFA. Because it was literally the next day you had your PFA. So yeah, you may get someone that tells you you can't eat certain foods. There's usually a hydration policy, so you have to drink 2 cups of water before you can get anything other than water, which most of the time is only like Powerade or something like that anyway. The soda, there is no soda. It's a soda machine. There's no soda in it. So get used to water, but Great Lakes water isn't bad if you just drink the tap water. It's fine, it tastes pretty good. The water that came out of the soda machines was fine, nothing tasted funny. As far as being sick, if you start getting the sore throat, things like that, obviously there's cough drops and throat lozenges, things like that at the necks, but also they usually slice up lemons. You put the lemon in your water, have lemon water, that'll clear you up. Like we had someone that basically had no voice, they lost their voice totally. We went down to chow, I think he sucked on the lemon, because one of the RDCs told him to, but he basically sucked on a couple slices of lemon, and then he was able to talk almost normal as soon as we got back, which is, you know, maybe a half-hour total time. So yeah, there's quite a few things, little tricks and things you can do. Always keep your feet smelling good. Buy the foot spray when you get to the next. Spray your shoes. It's basically like a baby powder or something, but you don't want to get any kind of athlete's foot or fungus or anything like that. Don't walk on the floors in your bare feet. Put your shower shoes on, go to the shower, take a shower, come back with your shoes on. I used to like dry my feet off. I'd stand on one foot and dry off my shoe because you don't want to walk to the compartment with your shoe. But the trick is you don't want to use your towel and rub it all over the dirty shoe, because the towel you're going to be using again. You don't always wash it right after every shower. But what you do wash after every shower is the clothes you were just wearing. So take the shirt that you were wearing, unless it was your white shirt. Don't do it with your white shirt. But take, whether it's the PT shirt you were wearing or the brown shirt that goes underneath your type 3s, take that shirt and just dry your shoes off with that, and then put that down through the laundry. That's always a good option. It's gonna get washed up anyway. It's not like you're gonna be putting it back on, and that way you're not getting whatever fungus or disease or sickness or whatever that other guys have all over yourself. So, like I said, don't put your feet down in the head at all. Don't put your feet down in the shower. Don't put them down in the regular compartment. We bleached our floor like twice a day, and I still didn't let my bare feet touch that floor. Stand on one foot, get a sock on, put your sock down, or your sock foot down, and switch. If you get really sweaty feet, you might not even want to do that then, because it'll start soaking into the sock. But excuse me. But you can't really sit on like your rack or anything like that. So whether you step on keep your your shower shoe or your sneakers down on the ground, step on those, you can do that. It's just don't put your feet down on the floor. There's already enough stuff you gotta do on the floor. They make you sit on the floor, like you don't get chairs. If you do in-house PT, it's right there on the floor, so you might be down stretching on the floor, doing your sit-ups, your push-ups, like your hands and everything will be touching the floor. They have hand sanitizer everywhere. Every time you see hand sanitizer, just get the hand sanitizer, rub it on your hands. If you can wash your hands in the sink, go ahead and wash them in the sink, because that's a better option. But yeah, you'll learn your way through it. It's not too bad. Like I said, ask your recruiter as many questions as you can. Whatever question you think you have, ask it. Whether you think it's stupid or not, ask it. My wife came with me. She asked a ton of questions. She kept apologizing for asking so many questions, but you know what? Nothing really surprised me when I got there, other than being up for 40 hours that first day. I was kind of like, hey, I really think I wrote them a letter. I was like, hey, I'll let the next group of people coming through know that they keep you awake for like 40 hours and to take advantage of naps, because that would have helped a lot. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's really just an experience, and it's a very, very minimal amount of time in your career. Even if you're doing 4 years, it's 2 months of the 4 years that you're in boot camp. The rest of the time, you're A school, and then you're in the fleet. My A school is 18 class days, so I start on Monday. I'm still going to be out of here before June, and I'll be out in the fleet doing my thing. Some people are in A school, for a long time. If you do anything with the submarines, you get extra schooling. If you end up taking one of the nuke things because you scored well in your ASVAB, you're in school for like a year and a half. Any of like the CT jobs, which are like some of the intelligence and things like that, same thing. You're there for 6 months or more. So, don't pick your rate based on one certain thing or two certain things. Make sure it's something that you want to do. Don't worry about the fact that, okay, A school is really long. A school's not difficult. I'm already in phase 2, so I can wear my civilian clothes. In less than a week at this point, I should be phase 3, which means I can go around. I can't go off base by myself, but I can go around the base by myself. And they just added a bunch of restrictions that weren't here before. People used to just go straight to phase 3 pretty much. But if you're in an A school for a longer time, it may take a little longer. You might be phase 1 longer than phase 2, but overall, it's not difficult. You're just going to class. You're gonna meet new people. Some places seem to have better facilities and things like that. I saw guys playing football and stuff like that on a YouTube video, before I joined the Navy. Here there's open space where you could throw a ball, but it's not like an actual field. I think we have a track somewhere. I don't even know where it is. We have have a gym. The gym's pretty nice. Guys will go play basketball and things like that. And there's an outside basketball court that you can do. And then we have like softball fields, baseball field, whatever you want to call it. But you know, most places will have really nice facilities. I'm at a really small base for what my rate is. So yeah, if anyone has questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments. I'll try to see them when I see them. It usually emails me, but sometimes I see it before they even send me an email. You know, I ask whatever questions you guys have, and I'll try to get back to you, whether I just comment back or I'll make a video if I get enough questions about the same type of thing. But yeah, that's pretty much my experience with Navy boot camp and A school so far. I guess once I actually get my classes going, maybe I can let you guys know. I might be too busy. Like I said, I get 18 days to learn basically an entire job without hands-on. You know, that comes once I get out to the fleet. So I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for everybody sticking around. Thanks for the few more followers I got since even my last video. You know, you guys have been awesome. I'm glad you're sticking around, even with it changing from police into Navy type stuff. You know, I like being here. Just, you know, it's kind of weird. I'm just talking to a camera, but you guys, you know, I guess you like what I'm talking about. Whatever, you listen to it. So yeah, like I said, if you have questions, ask them to me. I'll let you know. I'll see you guys later.